Oh, so this is like it's like a journal update kind of video that I'm gonna start trying to do. I show where all the plants are currently, some of the things that I've noticed or just taking note of as far as long-term, large scale, how to apply some of the stuff to when I actually get the polytunnel out here. I'm working right now for spring to be able to get a polytunnel put out in the front field. I'm gonna dig down 4 feet to be able to try to maintain temperature in there. But yeah, so all of these kind of ideas, I'll probably end up doing some tower type planting and some trough planting, something similar to this, only, obviously bigger rather than just the little pipes. I'll use like trough, an actual trough system that kind of rotates as well as some like homemade plant towers going down it. So the idea is to optimize the workable space. It's like a ton of wasted space. Like even in here, once this stuff grows, it'll occupy quite a bit of the space in here. It's just really early on. But even down here, I feel like these are cool, but it's just kind of a waste of space. With the towers, I'd be able to go up. I mean, just exponentially grow more food and stuff. But as well as that, in my own personal life, I'm taking Lakota classes with 2 of my sons, and the idea is to be fluent at some point so that we can just straight talk in Lakota to each other. So we do ceremonies together and all that. And it's always been a goal, reading, writing, and learning. Those things all help with neuroplasticity, and after my accident, I've definitely been struggling with like brain fog and that type of stuff. And so to push myself, I'm learning Lakota, as well as I said, that was always just a dream anyway. And like I said, I am no expert, so if you hear me saying it in here, it's probably wrong. So don't get me confused with like any kind of teacher or anything like that. This is just going to be more of a journal for the garden and for my process and that, because in the springtime or at some point there are Lakota groups, especially the ones that I work with, is specifically in a Lakota immersion language class. So in the class we only speak Lakota, and it forces us to figure it out or not. I mean, ultimately everybody, we support each other and we do end up figuring it out. But right now we're mostly just dealing with the verbs and the different normal everyday things, and so we're actually starting to get to a point where we're starting to build sentences, but we're just right on the very beginning of that. But I did put different labels up around. So this is I got this offline. This isn't mine. I didn't create this. I'm honestly not even sure the name of the school that did it. But yeah, it's got the basic garden terms as well as like the vegetable names and all that kind of stuff on here. And so I put little labels that can help me learn these things along the way. And I thought it might be just kind of fun for people to get involved with, as well as other language learners. Some of maybe the mistakes or things that I try to pull off for here. So yeah, Watoto Ozu, it's a vegetable garden, and Wawazu, he plants, I plant, and Wablushka, harvesting. So I'll be trying to put together sentences and things like that. This will be kind of like little journal entries. Kind of see the progress we've gotten past on the carrots. These little smooth leaf ones that come up first, kind of past that point and get into the the normal carrot leaves that everybody knows and loves. My little grocery store onion is I don't know what it's doing. It was going crazy and then it stopped, and I don't know, maybe it's just all happening underground. Here's my onions. I don't know, I planted purples here and I only got 4 of them to come through to actually break through. Maybe they're under there, I'm not sure. The scallions and yellow onions and white onions seen, right? So I got my little waterproof tag. This is when I water in here, I just kind of go nuts. I got a big thing and I just whatever. It's my garage, the floor, there's a drain in the middle, so I can be liberal with it. I mean, it's not like I'm making giant messes with it. So even with all that, so here's my lettuces, beauties. And so with this system here, I have an additional light on the bottom for the head lettuce. I'm thinking that I probably need another one right here as well, just for this second course, because they are a little bit yellowish, and I feel like that's not enough sun, because these top ones are like awesome. I don't know if the can see in the camera at all, but they're thick and robust, and the stems are getting nice and chunky. This system I just got online from Amazon or whatever, but these systems here are kind of finicky. I've had these little corner connectors, that back one, and then the one down there. I wasn't touching it, I didn't do anything, I just put it there, and they broke somehow. So you can kind of see the little water stain over there. And you can see the floor, the drain is over there, so it's going right to the drain, but it's not much. It's actually drying up before it gets there. Like I said, there wasn't anything that happened, just decided to crack. I was able to fix it for the most part with just running beeswax in there and kind of heating it up. It's got a really, really slow drip, but then so I got another one, and I didn't do anything. It was just right there. That's the one that's leaking down on the floor, and I don't know why. So I didn't touch it. Once I got this level, all the feet dialed in so that all the flow goes properly, it sat here, and I've just been adding the lettuces to it as well as the cycles. So what I'm trying to do here is I waited until I have these ones to a nice point. So these are about 3-4 weeks going on where we planted these, and so I have another group of lettuces getting germinated right now that we'll put in there. I'm wondering, because in our garden when we're growing lettuce, we're able to just snatch these out. These, once they get to a certain size, we're just able to snatch these ones off, and it just kind of keeps doing its thing. In which case, if it does that, then I don't really necessarily need to add the plants to it, because these are just for our family. And the idea is to function the system in a way that provides continuously. You know what I mean? So that we don't have to go to the grocery store. It's like, yeah, we can do a harvest every few months, but that doesn't really do anything for our refrigerator, for our food needs, other than eliminating a grocery store trip somewhere along the line. So I want to get this into a cycle where there's always good lettuces coming off, as well as in the bottom I have head lettuce, and I just wanted to see how this system could handle a full head. Am I going to have to brace it? What am I going to have to do as far as that goes? There's the bucket there, my fill bucket and all that. This thing goes through a really surprising amount of water. Actually, all of these systems do. I was definitely surprised how much water I'm having to add to these things to keep them topped off and all that. Because this thing here, I have to add to that bucket every couple days, and that's a 2.5 gallon bucket. This is I believe a 5-gallon system, to the fill points, and to go into these things. Each one holds like 4.5, 5 gallons to fill it, to get it to where it's pushing the water through properly. It isn't as fast as that one as far as having to add to it, but it is quite a bit higher than I anticipated. So far, the star of the show is this guy right here. This is one of the crack key jugs that I made from watching Keep On Growing. It's something similar to this with a different jug, but same. But yeah, this one seems to be very happy. Nice big chunky stem there, and that one is a unzingzingta tomato. Yeah, so in our class too, we were just learning about the ta, te, ta, and it's surprising how basically, well, I guess it's true for any language, but that something that's spelt the same can have a different pronunciation and mean very different things. It's I said, for learning language, learning art, learning music, those have neuroplasticity effect on your brain, and you're definitely in need of some of that. So here's our close second for the tomatoes. And as far as the crack key jugs, all 3 of the crack keys are by far growing much faster than the ones that we're doing in the dirt. So I got these cat box things, and just cut the tops off, fill them with dirt. Some cukes. Oh yeah, this is the biggest one that we got in the dirt, which is dramatically smaller. And these guys, they're just barely creeping out, and they all got planted at the same time. And it's weird, because in my garden it was the same way this last year, where I had plants that were knee high, and I had plants that looked like these that were all planted at the same time. I don't understand, but it is what it is. And like I said, when we're actually able to get into, so this spring I'm getting a polytunnel. We're going to do a 100-foot polytunnel. I'm going to dig down 4 feet and install a heating mechanism. It'll just be like the ceramics that stack together that can hook to like a rocket stove, so we can heat the floor in there. I said we'll do some large scale. Still mapping it out, you know, kind of in my head how I want to do it. I want to be able to do like a garden grow space, you know, so I want to have a little bit of everything and try to get it in cycles where it's indeterminate and just keep growing and providing year round. And the idea is to be able to hopefully get some CSAs going to provide that type of stuff. I want to get some eggs or birds, chickens, and create like an ecosystem of everything going together, where I want to be able to process the vegetable oils as well as the medicines from them. There's a lot of waste that comes from farming, gardening, you know, as far as the droppings from the chickens. We got some pigs. Those things can be put into like a methane sock to be able to harvest methane and pump that into tanks and use those for different things around the farm. As well as like anything that just doesn't get used, we can add sugar to it and ferment it and get some gas and use the materials like that. Ethanol, methane, vegetable oil. You know, I mean, I don't see any reason that we can't do the same things that the farmers I was working for when I was young was doing. I said they were micro farmers is what he called himself. He was 96 when I was 13. Everything that was considered waste was used for something else. Creating, like I said, ethanol, oils. So the farmer that I worked for, they made everything. Wine, cheese, sausage, firewood, horse breaking. You know, I mean, there was no end to these guys' genius. And I want to create something similar here that people can benefit more than just for food during a couple harvests. I want to be able to provide all these things year round, you know, and so that's going to narrow the footprint of people that I can work with, which is fine though. We'll be able to eliminate everything else, and hopefully we can take whatever system gets designed here and replicate that all over and start popping those all over. So here's my little potato jugs here. So this is my first time doing the indoor stuff like this, and I've tried a dozen different ways to grow potatoes, from mounding, from in-planted to surface to hay, to we took this kind of wire stuff here and made a circle with it, and then we layered in dirt and hay, and they said they would grow in each layer, and that didn't happen. And so ultimately the only way I was ever to get it to work was to do the dirt, hay, tomato, dirt, hay, tomato, dirt, hay, tomato. I started with this one, you know, a little over about halfway-ish, and then we add the potatoes we had, the chittids, little purple ones and that, and we got these to come through. And then just the other day we added about 3-4 inches more dirt and added some more of our little potatoes in there, the little purple guys I like. See how they work out, and yeah, go from there. I don't think I'll add any more potatoes to grow in here, but I'll probably add a little bit more dirt just to make sure that there's enough space for whatever volume of potatoes grow. The idea is that I don't want to have to be limited in whatever space I use for just plain planting. I want to be able to create different elevations of systems that can kind of interconnect and optimize the space for as much produce as humanly possible, as well as harvesting a lot of tangential stuff that goes through into farming that was typically wasted. Here is our bok choy in our little Oregon cracky box. Cracky box. They seem to be pretty happy. As I just check in here, keep making sure that is full with the water I need. Everything seems to be happy. My next project here is, like I said, I've been, for whatever reason, germinating has been very difficult. I have 2 broccolis and 2 Brussels sprouts growing in these ones. They're tiny. This one is starting to sprout out a little bit. I don't know if it's because I got the light too far away. What I'm going to do is try to lower this down a little bit and see if that helps that. But there's only one that's like reaching for the sun. The other ones are kind of like staying small. I said I'm gonna mess with the lights here. That'll probably be part of my next journal entry, is the effect of having the lights lowered, and hopefully that'll make them grow a little bit better. But so like over here, I was gonna do a regular one like that, but I have a feeling, I mean, I don't know, I'm just kind of debating right now. So what I was thinking is cutting some of these out and actually converting these into crack key boxes instead. I got extras over here I could do that with. I got plenty of the little clay balls, you know, for that. Here's our water jug. Mini. yeah, just a little quick journal update as to where everything's at and how it's coming along. And plans for spring is to get this polytunnel going. They have a USDA grant for one, but like I said, even if it doesn't, I got plans on putting a polytunnel. I'd like to do 100. If I get, just gotta stay with the 50 for now. That's what I'll do, because I want to do a polytunnel, but I also want to do 50 to 100 foot root cellar. The people that get the CSAs could use those as their shelves for potatoes and onions and garlic and things that need to be in a root cellar, so that they don't necessarily have to have it at their house. And that would be part of their arrangement here with us, would be to have a little space that they could keep their stuff year round. We want to do the chicken eggs. There's a couple different ways. Just the fresh ones that, if you don't wash them, they stay good for a long time. But you can also put them in water with, what is that, cooking something or other. I don't know, it's a white powder. I want to say lime, maybe? Something like that. I don't exactly know what it's called, but I know that the relatives used to put that in a bucket and they'd put oil over it, oil over the top. And then had a little ring that they drop on there to pull it out so they could reach in. And yeah, I never paid attention to what those things were that they were using as far as the powder goes. But I can find it quick enough and replicate it easy enough.